Hey guys, how are you doing? I got another one-shot fanfic for you because I know how you love those. Okay, so this one is a skip beat fanfic. The couple is Kyoko Mogami and Rin, and the genre is romance and humor. It is called Green Light. By their name honestly makes me think of the word glimmer, but I think it's supposed to be pronounced glimmer. Yeah, so Green Light by Glimmer. It's a really good story, very cute, very funny, a bit wholesome. It's something I used to be able to see happening in the manga. Where it is now, though, not so much, but it could probably still work, you know. Hint, hint to the manga creator. Hint, hint. Nah, I'm joking. Okay, so really though, I'm actually a bit behind on the manga again. So please no spoilers. If you want to talk about the series with me, I'm all for it. It's a great series. I fell in love with it after the first manga volume. So yeah, just so you're aware of what you cannot give me spoilers on, even though it honestly wouldn't be that big of a deal. I'd appreciate it if you don't. I last left off where, for whatever reason, Kyoko is panicking about the fact that Sho has pretty much invited himself over to where she works slash lives, I guess to either talk to her slash harass her as he's been doing, or to impose a ride, a service for her when she has one already from Rin, who's also on his way there. So the two of them are about to clash heads again at where Kyoko lives slash works. That's where I left off at last, right before the impact, was happening. It was imminent. Oof. And I've been kind of about continuing from there because I'm like, the likely drama. I'm not sure if I'm ready for it yet. And then also, I'm gonna need a lot more chapters available so I can not get another cliffhanger like that. Because it's kind of torture for me. Sorry about the bit of a tangent, but anyway, let's go ahead and get through this. Once again, the link to Glimmer's story will be in the link down below. Make sure you go and read it yourself for the author's notes. All right, let's get started. Green light. Ren was working very, very hard to ignore the whisperings of his co-stars. They loved to meddle in practically everything and gossiped far too much, especially one lady who was somewhat stalking him on and off set. The woman did everything she could to become his girlfriend slash lover slash kissing buddy. Was she 10 or something? And he would either dance away from her or flat out refuse her each time. She did manage to snag a kiss though, and that made tabloid news, along with a follow-up picture of him dropping her out of shock and disgust. He really didn't like that lady. Thank heavens this project was nearly mentally sighing to himself. He tried once again to put all his focus on the script in his hands. Yeah, the movie was nearly done, and so would be his latest excuse to see Kyoko. He only had to wait 2 more months and 3 days until she was no longer jailbait, and he almost had his life-changing explanation figured out so he could tell her how he really felt. Fuisho was on tour and would remain so past her birthday, so it was the perfect opportunity. She only remembered him if he was around these days. Now, if only he could convince her to talk in private with him around her birthday. Without work as an excuse, he had to be very careful on how he approached her. Sometimes Kyoko still freaked out whenever he was mildly annoyed. It was kind of cute. Script, focus. Rubbing his head briefly, Ren put his entire thought process into the text before him. Just a few more scenes and the filming would be done. They were going to do the scene where Kyoko's character died tomorrow, and he was not looking forward to that. Just the idea of her focus? When did he become so easily distracted? Sighing to himself, he went back to his script and the scene they had to do today. It wasn't difficult. But with that one actress, it was sure to take at least 5 takes to get it right. Oh, joy. Still, the actor managed to push through most of his lines, imagining exactly what he would have to do before a shadow fell over his script. Curious, Rin looked up, only to be surprised once again. Kyoko stood before him, both nervous and determined. She came really close to him, too, just as she had a setsu. Is something before he can complete the thought, she was sitting on his lap. Startled didn't even begin to cover what he felt at that point. Blinking at her and her nervous face staring at the floor, he tried once again to understand what was going on. Mogami, his voice stopped entirely when their eyes met a second time, hers almost pleading and apologetic. He could deny her nothing with that look on her face. And a second later, all thoughts flew out the window. Her warm lips were on his. The script fell to the ground. Flashback imminent. 10 minutes ago. I'm telling you, he's gay. And I'm telling you, he's not. Yashiro was really sick and tired of Aino Yukari. She tried to get her ceramic nails into Rin since their commercial shoot months ago, and Rin did everything he could to stay away from the former porn star, despite her many attempts to bed him. Rin stopped referring to her by name after she forced a kiss on him 2 weeks ago, and he publicly rebuked and snubbed her. She was the only one he'd done that to, and others were catching on as to why. Still, that wasn't what mattered. Aino wanted Rin, and because she didn't have a prayer, she decided to destroy his reputation. Her tool, make him gay. The majority of his fans, after all, were women. If this stuck, I've known Rin for years and he has never once, are you sure? He's awful secretive about his personal life, after all. Aino smiled smugly. No one's ever seen him with a woman. Only you, Yuki-chan. Yashiro bristled at the insinuation. I'm his manager, nothing more, and I have a girlfriend. Then there's Rin's pretty much is but in denial girlfriend, Kyoko-chan. Do you now? She made a grand gesture, nodding her head to her own conclusion. She was gathering a crowd of set workers and cast members fast. They all wanted to know the truth for themselves, and rumors were going to fly like crazy. Then who is she? Me. Everyone did a double take when one of the costume designers raised her hand shyly. Reina didn't want to make a big fuss about the relationship, but looked like it was happening anyway. Yashiro got to talking with her when she noticed how Rin and Kyoko interacted, and the two tried to meddle. Tried. The two were so... It was hard to get anywhere with those two. Reina glared at the notorious wench coldly, and I'd like you to stop implying something that is clearly a spiteful lie. Hands up in defense, Aino took one step back. Okay, so Yuki-chan, that's Yashiro saying to you, Missy. Reina interrupted again, her eyes even colder than before. Isn't gay. That doesn't stop Rin-chan from being gay. What's your proof? Another co-star, Ryu, was very curious at this point. I mean, yeah, he's very attractive and single, but still, that doesn't mean gay. He's not at all attracted to women. Her statement was made so simply, everyone was wondering if it was true. So she explained, think about it. Have you ever seen him really get into a kiss? We kissed for a commercial, a lot. But even though he showed passion for the camera, I felt nothing from him. Not even a little response from him. Limp as a noodle. A few people laughed while others turned pink. Yashiro was one of the pink ones. How dare she even bring something like that up? How rude and disgusting. She kept on going. I watched his earlier works too. Did you see anything happening when he was Katsuki on Dark Moon? What about as Tama in Sixth Candle? Both heavy romances, but he didn't show the slightest arousal. Rin is a professional. Hands and fists, Yoshiro tried to defend his charge. He is in complete control of his body and hormones. Acting like a dog in heat is highly inappropriate. He would never get off even a little. Yeah, I noticed. Aino rolled her eyes as she seemed to gain favor with most of the people around them. Look, Glasses, you can't completely control that part of your anatomy, and hasn't risen once in all his acting career, and you know it. And have you noticed how he mostly socializes with really hot guys? She pointed it out to everyone, as it was a common fact that he hung out with other male models while shooting. Half of them were foreign, and he always seemed to get along better with them. Mostly, he liked their professional attitude. I bet he's scouting for just the right guy to Okay, that's it, no more. The man was livid. How dare she soil such a good man's name? Well, not that there was something wrong with it, but still, who likes being accused of being something they're not? You are not allowed to say another word like this ever again. You hear me? Rin is not gay, and that's final. Oh, really? Ino smirked evilly, taking on a challenge. Then prove it. Prove that he's attracted to women and not men. With what? A scandalous photo? A testimonial? That would satisfy this witch. Get his blood flowing. Without pills, no acting. Her smoke only grew. It's simple. Get a girl to kiss him. If he perks up a little, I'll admit he's straight. If it doesn't work, he's gay. End of story. And what if he's asexual? I'm gonna just had to ask the impossible question. This might not end well. Are you going to have him kiss a man next? Might not be a bad idea. A wild look was in the crazy lady's eyes, and Yashiro wanted to get rid of it fast. Tomorrow, let's try a girl first, okay? Looking just beyond her, the manager spotted just who he needed. This was perfect. Keeping a straight face, he pointed to her. How about her? Her? Aino spotted Kyoko and scoffed. It was enough to attract the girl's attention, summoning her over. That wisp of a thing? She may as well be a boy. She's a completely different type of woman than any of his romantic co-stars, Yoshiro pointed out quickly, giving Reina a warning glance before anything could go south. This would work, physically and personality-wise. It's quite likely that all the others were simply not his type. Kyoko-chan, though, might be. I guess. Smirking at the girl as if she was nothing but a childish flea. She nodded. Fine, but no hints. Aino-san, Yoshiro-san, what is going on? Kyoko was very confused, especially with everyone giggling and being smug around them. Immediately, Yashiro took her hands and started to explain as quickly as he could, with the least amount of distress. She was the innocent type, after all. Kyoko-chan, I need your help to save Ren's reputation. It's very crucial that you help me prove something to everyone here immediately. Please say you will, no matter what. Please. Okay, I'll help. Whether she was frightened by his pleading or by the idea that her senpai's reputation was at stake, they'd never know. Either way, they were assured her cooperation. This girl was a person of her word. What do I have to do? Kiss him. Instantly, all the color drained from her face, doom sinking into her body. Eh? Aino is claiming Ren is gay, Rena explained quickly. To prove he isn't, we need a woman to kiss him and trigger a reaction. But, I... Panic mode was coming fast, and Yoshiro knew she was a second from and unreasonable against a mess. Kyoko-chan. He looked deep into her eyes, almost threatening and looming over her. You are the only one I can trust to not take advantage of the situation and turn this into a tabloid frenzy. I know you can do this, and Ren will not hate you for doing so. You promise to protect his reputation. This is the only way to do this. The young actress was sweating bullets, likely getting dizzy from all the excitement. One more push. Please, after all the help he's given you in your acting, the very least you can do is help him in real life. He will understand. You must do this, Kyoko-sama, for Ren's sake. Kyoko stood silent in dread for a long minute before folding over, giving in completely. All right, I'll do it. Yes! Yashiro pulled back from cheering out loud for a while longer to finish up the conditions behind this. Good. Now, in order to be sure of a reaction, you have to sit on his lap and hold a kiss on his lips for 10 seconds. 10 real seconds. If you feel any movement toward you at all, then you've succeeded. All right? Lap? Beat red. The girl tried to absorb all the information. Lips 10 seconds long? any longer than 10 seconds and he'll know something is up. I know, concluded for herself. The smirk on her face said one thing very clearly. There was no way this romance novice would get any reaction from Ren. Oh, how wrong she was. You can't tell him about this before you kiss him either. It has to be 100% natural reaction. Or the whole argument falls into my favor. Kyoko-chan's kiss will prove Ren is not gay. Yoshido insisted, letting go of her for now. I'm willing to bet my life on it. How about 2,000 yen? You're on. Grinning to himself, he turned back to the fidgeting love me girl. This was going to be interesting. Okay, Kyoko-chan, just go up to him, sit on his lap, and kiss him. 10 seconds. Afterwards, you can explain everything and apologize all you want, okay? Fine. Slowly, as if going to her death, Kyoko walked over to where the actor in question was sitting, studying his script like a good boy should. Aino giggled back in her part of the studio, making Yashiro glare back to her. Do you want to double that bet? You really think that stick of a girl will get him to rise up? The mocking tone in her voice made him very angry indeed. Yes, I do. After all, she's nothing like you. They watched as she made her approach, somewhat amused by the surprised look on the man's face. I know only laughed more. That's true, she mocked, as Kyoko planted herself on Ren's lap. She's more like a boy than I ever can be. Yoshiro grinned knowingly at last when he saw Kyoko plant her lips on Ren's. His charge was so stunned that he dropped his script. How he prayed the security cameras there had good quality filming. Their first kiss! But as the seconds rode by, excitement turned to dread. Ren wasn't moving. Come on, Ren, make a move. Just a little move. Please, 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 move! 10 seconds were done, and Kyoko slowly backed off from his face. Still no reaction. Aino laughed in glee. See? He's totally... All at once, everyone's jaws dropped. Like lightning, Ren wrapped his arms around his longtime crush and crashed his lips back onto hers. She was only stunned for a second before she returned his kiss with vigor, her arms somehow finding their way around him as well. Gasps and small squeals surrounded them as the two kept kissing each other, not even letting up to breathe. There was almost no space between them, and Kyoko's hands moved from his back to his hair. His own hands were enjoying her back and waist just a little too much. No way. Whoa. Did Kyoko-chan finally give Ren the green light or something? Kijima came across the group around then, laughing to himself in relief. His comment made others stare at him. What are you talking about? Ryu asked, somewhat indignant. The other actor shrugged, still amused. Ren's been after her since Dark Moon, he stated simply. Just been patient is all. Who knew he only had 2 speeds? Going so slow all this time, and bwammo! Full throttle. So what happened? Well, Kuan couldn't believe it. He just couldn't believe it. Kyoko kissed him first. It was longer than that peck, serious and inexperienced, but that was all he needed to start. Now, every second she was in his arms right then, right there, it was magic. She was kissing him back, learning quickly. She was pulling him towards her as much as he was pulling her closer to him. Her fingers were in his hair. He loved how she played with his hair. He did not want to stop, to open his eyes and realize he was just kissing his pillow and had a problem to solve first thing in the morning. Was this just another of his dreams? But she was getting tired, worn out. Kuan slowed down for her sake, but smiled from the deepest parts of his soul as he opened his eyes to hers. The loving high in her amber eyes exhilarated him to no end, and he wanted to sing from the mountaintops his feelings. This was perfection. Smiling brightly, he kissed her nose lightly before gently knocking heads with her. His smile did not end, and neither did the long-hidden affection in her eyes. She must... No! This is not happening! The shout broke the dreamlike spell the two of them were under, and the second he looked away to see what the troublesome lady was talking about, Kyoko leapt out of his reach and onto the ground, apologizing profusely. His arms were still in the air, grasping at what wasn't there. And as voices mixed around him, they fell, and he became increasingly angry. I'm so sorry, Saruga said. I didn't mean to desecrate your... There is no way that ugly stick of a girl could have gotten a rise out of him. I'm sorry that I went with Yoshiro-san and Ino-san's bet. Venomous glare shot in their direction from the Demon Lord. Meddlesome little... Someone so gay as him can't possibly be. It's pretty clear he's not gay, isn't it? He said he wanted to prove you weren't gay, and I shamelessly went along with it. Please forgive. He's totally gay. She's an unattractive, flat-chested... My rudeness is unforgivable. I know you would never want to be associated with someone like me. I should never have let my feelings get the better of me. And wait, what now? Ren jerked his head up from his dark, growling posture, bright and alert to what she was saying. Did she... What did you just say? I am an unforgivable human being who can't keep her promises no matter what she does. Shameless! I should have never... What was that about your feelings getting the better of you? Kuan leaned forward to command direct eye contact with her. He needed an answer. Now. All the arguing around them fell on deaf ears. Kyoko finally heard his question and stopped, sweating heavily, looking away, but out of her crouch. She held up a hand to stop him. Please forget about what you just heard. Just the ramblings of a guilt-ridden crazy person. Oh no, they weren't. He blatantly ignored everyone else in the room as he got to his knees and put his hands on her shoulders to keep her there. She still didn't look at him. What were you saying about having feelings? For me? You are my most respected senpai, and it's rude to look away when talking to someone. Despite his very valid point that won many arguments in the past, she did not move an inch. In fact, she turned completely into stone. You said you let your feelings get the better of you. Did I? Yes, you did. She still wouldn't look at him, and she was starting to tremble. Most of the time, he would have let her go when she reached this state. Not this time. Not by a long shot. After tasting paradise and a few minutes of it, he was going to know how she felt about him right there, right now. Kyoko, what did you... Saruga-san, Kyoko-san. The director and his assistant were standing over them, curious. Is everything all right? Both stopped still for a moment, their professional instincts coming out whether they liked it or not. Talk about timing. He could feel Kyoko tense up to leap and rush to the set to avoid this conversation. Oh, no, you don't. Instantly, he pressed his hands harder on her shoulders, keeping her completely still. Trapped. Ren put out his shining smile, somewhat threatening the director as he looked up to him. Just a small but important conversation between close co-workers, one we really need to finish before either of us can work today. We really don't... Yes. He turned his smile on the young actress, almost clenching his teeth in the process. We do. Come on. Not waiting for permission, Kuan picked Kyoko off the ground and over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes, holding her waist in place tightly. There was no escape this time. Saruga-san, please allow us a few minutes in private, Director Tatsu. Ren kept his smile up around his boss and co-workers, but even they were starting to see the threat that went with it. The girl on his shoulder definitely recognized his tone, and at that moment, he didn't care. Sighing heavily, the director waved them off. 15 minutes, and I want her back in one piece. Of course, sir. Grinning, the actor strode towards the dressing rooms, only to be cornered by the onlookers who realized he was escaping with a girl. Hold it! That annoying woman was back, red-faced and not near as pretty as she tried to be. Yashiro was just behind her, trying to stop her before something went wrong. Livid, she shot an accusing finger at him. Just what do you think you are doing with that useless plain newbie? She's nothing, and you, if you have any kind of respect for acting or the entertainment industry, shut up. Cold fury finally escaped his gentleman facade, terrifying his would-be stalker who couldn't take a hint. Do not ever speak of Mogami Kyoko in such a way. She has more talent in her smallest finger than you are capable of in a lifetime. She is capable of becoming anyone, while you are continually typecasted, and I appreciate her honesty and innocence over your belligerent, sensual behavior any day. So shut up. Stunned into complete silence, the eyesore stayed where she was as Kuan bypassed her entirely, his package suddenly quiet and limp on his shoulder. He cast his surprised manager one last look before disappearing into his dressing room. We'll talk later. Right. As soon as the door shut behind them, Rin calmly set Kyoko feet first on the ground, her back against the door so she couldn't really run away. She too was stunned, but also bright red all over. Kuan watched her for a moment before pressing his hands against the door, looming over her to get her full attention. Now, what were you saying about letting your feelings get the better of you? Realization struck her, and her instant reaction was to bow and apologize profusely. Her head hit his chest, ending that option. She tried to speak again, upright but head down. I'm sorry, Suruga-san. I am a very bad Kohai. I have greatly stop apologizing. Dead serious, he prodded again. Kyoko, you don't need to apologize for your feelings. I just want to know what they are and how they influenced your actions just now. Trembling, she tried to answer him. My feelings, they're highly inappropriate towards my senpai, and I'm sorry. I shouldn't have taken advantage of you. That sent him for a small spin. You take advantage of me. Did she notice how much bigger he was compared to her? How was that even possible? Something was wired wrong in that head of hers. That's the only way you would feel compelled to defend me from Aino-san's opinions. I must have somehow forced my feelings into you when I got carried away. I'm so... And what are those feelings exactly? It was like pulling teeth. His heart was pounding in anticipation, and it took all his self-control to not shake her, to hurry her up and say the words he really hoped to hear. He needed to know, now, what just happened. It had to be real. Looking down again, red-faced, Kyoko fumbled with her words. I live in. The words were all rushed together that he could barely make it out. Come again? I love you. Kuan's heart lifted higher than it ever had before. She loved him. He wasn't imagining it then. That kiss was real. Their feelings were the same. She just didn't realize it. And she continued to not realize it in front of him. I know it's incredibly inappropriate and wrong, and it's probably influenced more because of your natural playboy charms and how childish you sometimes act and how much I'm around you. I'm just a lowly kohai, not worthy of being around you, and couldn't hope to interest you in 100 years with little acting ability and no sex appeal. You're the amazing Saruga Ren, the most desired man in the world in the entertainment business, with the acting ability to move every one of your co-workers into a fluster while I stand on the sidelines hoping for the impossible, which can and will never be, so please ignore everything I've said and just go back to being how you were. A light, lingering kiss shut her up at long last, a move he made on instinct rather than calculated. Once she was frozen, staring at him, Kuan let up, pressing his forehead against hers as he looked into her eyes. You really need to calm down and think for a moment, Kyoko. Didn't I tell you before that I don't kiss just anyone? And didn't I start the second one? She was like a wind-up doll again. Well, at least she was thinking instead of rambling. Wouldn't that mean that I wanted to kiss you too? She blinked and he couldn't help but to smile. So cute. Kyoko, I've wanted to kiss you for a very long time, and not for acting or for my own amusements. I've just been holding back because you weren't ready for a romance. I didn't want to ruin any chance I had with you, because I love you. I love you more than you can possibly imagine. But, she was getting confused again. But there was no going back now. Kuan was through backpedaling. How could you possibly shall I count the ways? Cheesy, yes, but it seemed to be necessary, so he started. Gently, he fingered strands of her hair, hoping to put her at ease. From the first day we met, I couldn't forget you. You were strange at first, but your determination was always something I admired. I didn't always like your reasons, but when they changed, I couldn't be prouder. Your talents edged me on, igniting something in me few others could. I remember the first time you wore makeup and how you held yourself. I was blown away. You were always different from all the other girls I've met. Never boring, full of energy and surprises. Your kindness and selflessness is something I wish to be. You've helped me so many times, changed me. How couldn't I fall in love with you? There were so many specifics he could say, but not yet. Besides, her face was reaching maximum blood capacity. You're amazing in so many ways. I only wish I can catch up to you. But I'm I'm not. I'm just the most amazing woman I know. Kyoko, I love you just the way you are. He paused, smiling gently as everything sunk into the radish before him. The only thing I would want to change is your self-confidence. You're a lot better than you give yourself credit for, if anything. Kuan stopped, so close to confessing everything about himself. Yes, he was going to tell her everything one day, but really, one step at a time. Her confused face was as charming as ever. Smiling somewhat sadly, he finished. There's a lot I want to tell you to prove that you're more amazing than me, but not right now. What do you mean? Red was starting to leave her face for confusion. A good trend, but something he didn't want to worry her with. Saruga-san, Rin, please, just call me Rin for now. She started, turning dark red again, but he explained, I really want to hear you call my name without honorifics. No formalities, not between us. But please, Kyoko, for me, that was when he released his puppy-eyed begging. It worked on Setsu in the past, and honestly, it got him out of a lot of scraps when he was a kid. Soon enough, her face couldn't take it anymore. She gave in. Fine. Rin. Smiling his million-watt smile, Kuon leaned back down, kissing her fiery forehead. Much better, Kyoko. He felt her tremble slightly underneath him, thrilling him to no end. He was fully ready to kiss down her face and neck right there, but her voice carried reason right back into the room. This is really inappropriate behavior for work, Rin. Sighing slightly, he nodded and leaned away. Right. There's a lot more we need to talk about, though. Later. With the giant no longer looming over her, Kyoko's common sense was striking out in force. We have a job to do. Too true. Sighing once more, Kuan stretched back to get back into character completely. Lately, it was difficult to know where the line was between Rin and Kuan around his love. Love. Now it wasn't a crush anymore. Smiling to himself, he looked over the disheveled woman before him, straightening out the wrinkles that he gave her, carrying her in. He could almost imagine how flustered she'd get if they were making out and had to get back on set in a hurry. His eyes lingered on her lips once again, enticing him all over again. Okay, whoa boy, calm down there. Mentally, he chided himself over and over again, reminding himself of who he was dealing with. Already, he pushed his luck as far as he should in the past half hour. Give her time to think this through, set her mind in order. Don't want Valentine's Day to repeat itself. Oh, it better not. I'm not taking any of it back this time. Ren knocked himself in the head lightly, getting his senses back in order. Kyoko was more focused on making herself presentable that she almost forgot he was there. Almost. She was still very pink in the face. Okay, that's done. We really need to, on impulse, Ren pecked her hair lightly before opening the door. Once more she turned red, causing him to snicker. Ren! I'm picking you up for dinner tonight so we can talk properly, he told her, a teasing grin on his face. She was so adorable when flustered. She also looked ready to punch him out. And there's a lot we need to talk about. You bet there is, Kyoko growled a little, cooling him off just a tad, but not enough to take Kuon off cloud 9. They had a lot of ground to cover before the media got wind of any of this. And that was basic relationship stuff. He still had 2 months and 3 days to get her ready for the big stuff, like his name and where he came from and why he lied. But they really needed to talk about where the line was for them. He got a green light, but there was still a speed limit. Talk about what? Yoshiro seemed to pop out of nowhere, forcing both actors to use all their abilities to hide their shock. Didn't work so well for Kyoko, but Rin was back up within seconds. About what percentage of your bet's earnings are mine? You know how much I love being a guinea pig, Yoshiro-san. Now the manager was in trouble. Kuan smirked at him, but slid his hand into Kyoko's anyway. She blushed a little, but didn't remove herself from him. This was good. For now, this was just right. And end. Alright, so, yeah, lots of humor and cuteness in this one. So funny. Much ooh, very wow. Remember to leave a like and subscribe if you guys like this. Check out the other videos that are on our channel. And I suppose I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.